FAANG, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. If you've ever dreamt of working at these companies, you're not alone. The competition is fierce. Google receives millions of applications yearly and hires less than 1%. It's a status game for many Desis who are willing to sacrifice anything to achieve it. But it's not just about being the smartest person in the room. It's about understanding the game and playing it strategically. And I will tell you that. As someone who got into Google in 2007 through their website application and has since coached over 300 people for technical interviews with a 15% success rate, I want to share the exact blueprint that works. Today, I'm giving you tips that will dramatically increase your chances of landing that coveted FAANG offer. Watch on. Hi, I'm Nupur Dave and I'm excited to be a part of the 01 Media Network. At NRI Diaries, we talk about life between countries, careers, money, and meaning. Hit subscribe to make this channel continue to make an impact on the NRI community. The most important part of succeeding at a top company is asking yourself, who are you being? Everyone thinks they're awesome or intelligent, but who are you as a person? Just being a domain expert isn't the full deal. Are you specific in your communication? For example, do you ping people with just hi and wait for a response? Or do you provide context upfront? Proactiveness is another trait that I've seen everywhere in top companies. When I told my Google friend I was visiting a house, she immediately gave me parking instructions, access codes, and her apartment number before I even asked. She anticipated my next questions, where do you live, where do I park, and answered it before. This anticipatory thinking is what you see and what is expected. Are you naturally such a person? Do you have attention to detail? I'm not sure you can fake this. It's something you either have or don't. Are you thorough in your thinking? Do you consider edge cases? Most importantly, are you easy to work with? People value colleagues who are collaborative, open to feedback, confident without being arrogant, and someone people genuinely want on their team. Now, I'm not saying everyone at FAANG companies is like this. These are large organizations now with diverse personalities. But the initial culture was built by people who were approachable, thoughtful, and specific in their communication. Now it's time to get tactical. Let's start with your resume. There are countless videos online about crafting the perfect resume. So I'll focus on giving you tips that go beyond the basics. Firstly, keep the resume's UI minimal. Many people, especially in India, have their photo on it or use complex visual formats to show their journey. The key is creating a resume that works even in plain text format. Why rely on rich text? Focus on substance over style. If each word on your resume costs you $5, what would you cut out? This eliminates fluff instantly. Every new job should tell a story of growth and increased impact. For example, 7 years ago, you were a SWE1, 4 years ago, you were a SWE2, and now you're a tech lead. That's a neat progression. Here's an unpopular opinion. For FAANG applications, your LinkedIn profile matters less than you think. I know senior staff engineers at Google without photos or updated profiles. Your work speaks louder than your personal branding. But then they had PhDs or were from Ivy League schools or were studs in their field. Still, don't use this as an excuse to have a terrible profile. Keep it professional and updated, but don't obsess over LinkedIn optimization at the expense of actual skill development for FAANG application. Now let's talk about prepping. Remember that interview performance is actually completely different from actual job performance. You might be brilliant at your current role, but terrible at interviews. So study and practice. Of course, for technical people, you need to go back to school and study core concepts. For behavioral questions, start prepping with listing all your projects and categorizing them in a sheet. कि ये leadership example है, ये examples है data-driven decisions की. Put down examples of conflict and of original thinking. Once you have your project categories mapped out, it's time to practice, practice, practice. Stand in front of a mirror and record your voice, and then listen back. Are you rambling, using filler words like ums and ahs? You can also invest in online platforms that conduct mock interviews. That's a better way than self-evaluation. Or contact me, I can help. So what about Indian interviews that require specific feedback for Indians? Having coached many Indians, I've seen that articulation is where many Indian candidates struggle, myself included. We tend to use vague sentences like, in this project, I did planning and stuff, or lots of things in this program were good. Our thought process often resembles a jumbled train rather than a proper straight train. For example, if you're asked, tell me about a project that went haywire, a poorly articulated response sounds like this. I would check with stakeholders and then I would make some assumptions about cloud storage and stuff. And then I would keep stakeholders informed about everything. Then I would try to understand why users are facing issues. An articulate version sounds like this. My approach would be structured in 4 phases. First, I'd address stakeholders through a standard communication channel. Second, I'd establish technical assumptions upfront. You see, the difference is night and day. To tackle this, chronology samajhiye. Write down the sequence before you speak. Structure your responses by using frameworks like STAR, which is situation, task, action, result. Or use why, what, where, when, how. During the interview, keep a few things in mind. FAANG companies value deep thinking. When presented a problem, think through edge cases as well. For example, let's take the text-only resume example I was mentioning earlier. What if you are asked to design a text-only resume system? You need to think through edge cases. How would you handle, say, a designer whose work is entirely visual? Or candidates who use special characters in their names like Jose? One thing that separates good candidates from the great ones is original thinking. Here's what this looks like. If I asked you, how would you find the cheapest hotel in New York for my visit next week? A generic response would be, I would look at different websites like booking.com or Expedia and then compare in a spreadsheet and then use credit card points. But the original thinker's response is like, wait, let me first question why you even need a hotel. Could you maybe travel and return the same day? Maybe there's a nearby city with cheaper accommodation. This demonstrates that you're an original thinker with an understanding of business impact. Getting an interview itself is a battle because FAANG companies get 100K plus resumes per week. Referrals remain the most powerful as referred candidates often get prioritized in the ATS. You can try contacting recruiters directly through LinkedIn too. The most effective approach is to connect directly with hiring managers. They receive far fewer direct approaches than recruiters and can fast-track promising candidates through the system. Honestly, there's an element of timing and luck in all this. If it's meant to be, the stars will align. If not, I know cases where even old-time FAANG employees who knew the hiring manager didn't even get a phone call. It's worth understanding how FAANG hiring has evolved. Google initially only recruited from top-tier schools, but now actively reaches out to diverse backgrounds. Use this shift to your advantage. Don't self-eliminate just because you're not from an IIT or an Ivy League school. These companies have learned that great talent comes from everywhere. Don't apply randomly to titles. Apply to titles plus levels. Understanding the FAANG level system is crucial. For example, I compared the job responsibilities of a level 4 program manager to a level 6 of the same role. A level 4 partners with teams to launch products, while a level 6 drives global systems leading cross-functional teams worldwide. The distinction is clear. Level 4 focuses on execution. Level 6 demands strategic thinking and global leadership. Don't apply significantly above your actual level. But here's a trick to get in. Take a title reduction to get inside, then transfer internally. I've seen product managers first join as program managers and then take internal ladder change interviews to switch to the product ladder. Or software engineers start in testing before moving to development. Getting inside the company often matters more than the initial title. Don't wait indefinitely to feel ready, but also don't panic and apply fast either. I've seen too many people submit applications online in a rush, then scramble for referrals afterwards. If Meta is your dream company, don't make it your first interview. Now, there's a moral consideration here. Some argue it's wrong to interview with companies you're not targeting. Here's why I encourage you to interview with anyone moderately good. You might discover you actually like them more than your original target. I've personally joined companies I wasn't initially excited about, but fell in love with them after meeting the team. Here's a critical reality check. If you clear the interviews and reach team matching, don't celebrate yet. I've seen people wait over a year for team matching without getting placed. So keep your mouth shut until you have a signed offer letter. Actually, wait. If you want to be even more conservative, don't say anything until you've physically started the job. If you don't get the job offer, it's not the end of the world. I've seen grown professionals cry about it. FAANG companies are excellent, but they're not the only path to success, wealth, or happiness. Consider that you might be better as a big fish in a small pond. One advantage of FAANG companies is their generosity with reapplications. I know people who got hired on their third attempt at Google. Don't overlook high-paying alternatives either. Companies like Goldman Sachs, Jane Street, or 2 Sigma often pay more than FAANG companies. Most importantly, stop comparing yourself to others. Your friend in Meta had his luck, and so will you. Also, if you don't get in today, maybe in 10 years you will when you're more mature and more impactful. Success has many definitions and many paths. Have faith in life. If you need help with your interviews and resume, you can book a session with me. Follow NRI Diaries for more NRI content. Till next time then, bye.